Greg Ehrenberg here with Adam Scherer. It's time for another NBA injury report for Tuesday, January 4th. A little bit of a smaller slate with 5 games. Still some stuff to break down. As per usual, do us a favor. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. When players or if players get added in those later in the day. Let's get into today's injury report. And first is we have some players potentially coming back for the Memphis Grizzlies. Dillon Brooks, DeAnthony Melton, and Zaire Williams. They're all listed as questionable today. Adam, if these guys are all back, does this just kind of take the Grizzlies out of play for us?
Yeah, pretty close, especially in the backcourt slash on the wings. It makes them a really weird team. Like I guess I wouldn't say out of play, but if Dillon Brooks is out, we know John Morant sees a really nice bump in usage to like the mid 30s. If he's in, that drops back to around 30%. He's 9,700, so you would really like that usage to be there. If Brooks is out, I think he looks very good. If Brooks is in, I think he kind of just looks mediocre. Same can be said for guys like Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. If Melton is back, I think you can stop projecting Tyus Jones to play a ton of minutes alongside John Morant, like he has been. Makes him not really look that good at 4,100. You potentially could still get, like some Brandon Clark value at 3,800. But even there, he's typically this year, they haven't really wanted to play him alongside Steven Adams. And you've kind of seen it by necessity the last few games where, he picks up a minute or 3 here or there. And at his price, that's kind of enough to make him viable. But if you're getting like Zaire Williams back or other guys that can soak up those minutes, then I'm not positive those minutes are even there. So it kind of just takes Memphis from looking like a team that has a bunch of pretty good plays to a bunch of more like tournament darts, I guess.
Yeah, we're getting to a point where, a week or so from now, every team we've been playing over the last couple weeks, we're just not going to want to get very much exposure to them because all these guys are going to be out. We're going to see inflated prices and they come back and they're just overpriced. So something to be cognizant of as we move forward on some of these slates. One team we don't have to worry about that with the Indiana Pacers, TJ McConnell, Goga Bitadze, Jeremy Lamb, Chris Duarte, Karis LeVert, Keelan Martin, Isaiah Jackson, Malcolm Brogdon, all out for the Indiana Pacers, with this team being shorthanded due to the health and safety protocols. Who are the players that stand out the most?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much the starters. We got basically this team on the second against Cleveland, and what you saw was 37 minutes for Justin Holiday, 35 for Dwayne Washington, 39 for Sabonis, 37 for Turner, 35 for Sykes. It makes all of those guys look like at least reasonable plays. Sabonis, I think you can expect to take on a lot of production, even though the numbers this year haven't been that much different when Brogdon and LeVert are off the floor. I just don't really see how logically they can't increase over a larger sample without those guys. Turner's likely to play a lot more minutes and see some more production. And then Dwayne Washington and Kiefer Sykes both played big minutes. Both are cheap. Both are point guards on DraftKings. We do have around 100 minutes from both of these guys if you include the preseason. Washington's been the better fantasy producer by a pretty wide margin. So I think they're both good plays just based on their playing time. But if I can only go to one, I think Washington's at the top of the list.
Yeah, the Indiana Pacers do appear to be the highest priority value team on the entire slate today. Also high priority, signing up for Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Use the link in the description box below. Head on over to Yahoo, make a deposit, enter a contest. You get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. We have all the tools that we have for DraftKings and FanDuel. Also, we have the same stuff for Yahoo. And just because you sign up using the promo code through Yahoo, doesn't mean you don't get access to those DraftKings and FanDuel tools. Everything we have at Awesemo Plus Platinum, it encompasses all of the DFS sites. So go check that out. It is a very good value. Moving on to the other side of this game with the Pacers, we have the New York Knicks, who they've also had some players in the health and safety protocols. Actually, I think almost every player on the roster has had COVID at some point now for the Knicks. We do have Julius Randle listed as questionable. Mitchell Robinson is questionable. Jericho Sims questionable. All guys that could potentially be getting back to the New York Knicks today. How does the front court look for the Knicks if Randle and Robinson are back in the picture?
I have no idea. So I think this is a really interesting spot because you also could get Jericho Sims back. Not that matters necessarily matters if Robinson is in, but if you get Robinson and Randle back, I think you just go back to 48 minutes from Mitchell Robinson and Taj Gibson, 48 minutes with the massive bulk of them going to Randle between Randle and Toppin. And that's, basically your 96 minutes in the front court. And then, the wings become an absolute mess. But I think the front court, if everybody is in, is pretty easy to guess at because, Randle's going to play a ton and you can assume that Robinson and Gibson are splitting 48.
Yeah, not sure Thibodeau's going to care too much about Randall's conditioning because we've seen him run Randall into the ground more than once in the past. So it is a little bit of a different rotation for the Knicks. It's not where every starter plays 40 minutes, but he's always been pretty comfortable playing Randall big minutes. The last piece of news to get to on the injury report today, it is the Phoenix Suns. We're still a little bit shorthanded. JaVale McGee, Jay Crowder, Abdul Nader, Landry Shamet, DeAndre Ayton, and Frank Kaminsky are all out. So I think the biggest talking point here is, has Jalen Smith been priced appropriately, or is there still value here? And is there anybody else on the Suns you like from a value standpoint?
I think there's still some value. Smith's averaged 1.14 DraftKings points per minute in 191 minutes this year. So if he's going to get around 30 to 32 minutes in a competitive game, there is still some value. I think it's a pretty scary matchup. Like he could obviously just get abused by Joval, and get in foul trouble or whatever. But on average, I think that he still looks like a good value, especially with power forward eligibility as well. But also from an injury standpoint, like obviously guys like Devin Booker and Chris Paul look like good plays regardless of who's in or out. But Shamet being out, I think could actually quietly have an impact on someone like Cameron Payne, because Phoenix hasn't really loved playing Payne alongside Paul all that much this season, but they're still willing to do it here and there. So it's not like they're, just never going to do it and they refuse. But taking Shaman out, you're taking, 24, 25 minutes out of this already short rotation. I think it just helps to solidify those Cameron Payne minutes, where normally if Chris Paul plays 30, let's say 34 minutes, Payne typically is going to play like 18 to 20. And if you get like 22, you feel pretty lucky. With Shamet out, I think even if Paul does play toward the top of his minutes range, you still can get like 24 minutes from Cameron Payne, and he's well over a fantasy point per minute guy, so it makes him look even better.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of value to be had on the Suns. Pacers still the number one priority team for me today. Don't forget, if anything changes later in the day, leave us a comment below, ask a question. Also, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck today, guys, and let's all make some money.